Enfield golfer Harry Casey has been included as part of the England golf team for the biennial international against France. I say that bit again because I sort of fell over it, didn't I? Biennial international against France. That's every 2 years. The 20-year-old is in the 19 squad, which will take on the French this weekend at Fontainebleau. Casey made his full England debut against Spain at El Prat last August and was in the England side which triumphed in the home international last September. In 2013, Casey won the Selborne Salver and lost in a playoff for the Pontcat Dutch Junior Open, finishing third in the Portuguese Amateur. Meetings between England and France date back to 1934, and of the 32 matches, England have won 27. 4 of France's 5 victories have come in the last 9 meetings between the two nations. The match will consist of 4 foursomes and 8 singles on each day.
For a cricket article, the new Middlesex County Cricket League season got off to a wet start on Saturday, with Enfield, Southgate and Winchmore Hill having their second division matches abandoned because of rain. All 3 sides bowled in the little play that was possible, with Southgate reducing Harrow St Mary's to 59-5, while Indian Gymkhana reached 66-3 against Enfield, and Brentham made it to 27-0 against Winchmore Hill. The teams are all in the same division following Hill's relegation from the top flight last year and Enfield's promotion as champions of Division 3. Saturday sees the first derby of the season as Southgate host Enfield, while Winchmore Hill entertain Uxbridge.
Now I've got what's on at the chicken shed. Tales from the Chicken Shed on the 16th of May, right on until the 31st of May, but not on the 23rd and the 24th of May. Exciting children's shows for the age 0 to 7 years old. Bring them along, £6 each. Then there's another day, Tales Big Day Out, from the 24th of May at 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and from 2:30 until 5 p.m. An enjoyable and entertaining day out for all the family. And for those who are 0 years to 7 years, it'll cost £8, but it'll be free for babies under 6 months. Now that's a bargain, isn't it? And the box office number that you'll require is 0208 292 9222. And if you're going to use a computer, it's the low-level www. and one word, chickenshed.org.uk. And no dot there. Enjoy.
And also at the Chicken Shed, there's Paula's Story, and it's in the Studio Theatre until 7th May at 7:30 p.m. It's a powerful and sometimes humorous story of a family's fight for their daughter's talent to be recognised. Tickets, £10 and £8. Also at the Chicken Shed is called Jazz Shed, 100 Years of Jazz, and that's on 23rd of May at 7 p.m. £15 advance bookings, £17 on the door. And as Joan has just told you, box office number 0208 292 9222. And you already have the website address, www.chickenshed.org.uk.
Councillor Tom Waterhouse is right to draw the public's attention to councillors' poor attendance at council meetings. Quite right. His own record of 84% attendance is only just above the average of 82%. Yet the record of his fellow Conservative councillors in Chase Ward over the past 4 years is even worse. Marcus East attended 74%. Simon Maynard managed to attend only 51% of meetings. Councillor Waterhouse described 69% attendance as not good enough. So why, as Conservative whip for the past 4 years, did he not ensure that his fellow Tories worked harder for the public? These councillors have been paid £120,000 by Enfield's taxpayers. Perhaps because the Tories see Chase Ward as one of their guaranteed safe seats, they don't feel the need to put any effort into helping the public. We don't need fewer councillors. We just need councillors who are going to work hard for the people of Enfield. And that was written by Terry Heim of Woodfield Close in Enfield.
And I have a letter from an Oksana Potudanskaya of Green Street, Brimsdown. As a resident of Enfield, I want our newly elected councillors to make solving the housing shortage their top priority. Many of us are finding it really hard to save enough money to get onto the housing ladder, or are struggling with increasing rents while our salaries stay the same. I hope that all council candidates will acknowledge this reality and commit to tackling this problem. I believe we can solve our housing shortage, and that's why I'm saying yes to homes, in quotes, in Enfield. Find out more at www. all in lowercase this, yes to homes, that's yestohomes.co.uk.
Squatters have been kicked out of a distinctive landmark building in the south of the borough, freeing the way for a charity to develop the site into a community hub. The North London branch of the Samaritans have been battling to remove a group of squatters from Shaftesbury Hall in Herbert Road, beside Bowes Road train station, since March, after gaining planning permission from Enfield Council to embark on a refurbishment project worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. The rundown hall, which has been dubbed the Tin Tabernacle by locals due to its unusual corrugated iron walls and steeply pitched roof, was originally built for railway workers in 1848, when manual labourers were constructing the original railway tracks that still run beside the building. The arrival of the squatters into the distinctive buildings scuppered the charity's plans to redevelop the site and transform it into a community centre for the charity and residents. However, since serving a High Court order on the squatters, the charity is now free to focus on raising the £200,000 needed to revamp the former church. Nigel Thorne of North London Samaritans said, "Following the serving of a High Court order, the Tin Tabernacle is no longer occupied. The building is secured, and North London Samaritans are currently beginning the process of raising £200,000 needed to refurbish the hall. It will then become a community space for local groups and residents, as well as being used for training activities for the Samaritans. Revenue from the hiring of the building will be used to support the activities of North London Samaritans.
Eco-warriors occupying the site of a controversial housing development are facing eviction by a court order later this week. The band of activists embarked on a peaceful occupation of the site of the former Middlesex University campus in Cat Hill, Cockfosters, last month. The owners of the site, L&Q Housing, are seeking a court order tomorrow to evict the protesters from the site at a hearing in Barnet County Court in Regent's Park Road, Finchley. However, Danny G., one of the protest camp's activists, has said that the protesters will be submitting their own evidence to the court before the hearing in a bid to turn the tables on the developers. Speaking before delivering documents and filmed footage to the court for the judge to consider before the hearing, he said, "We want to expose what is happening inside the site. Things are happening in darkness, and we want to expose that to the light. We are presenting our own evidence to the judge because we want him to see that this group is not just a couple of idiots having a nice picnic. We are serious." According to Danny, many of the protesters on the site are veterans of the Occupy movement. "We want to work with the local residents to empower them in their campaign of opposition against the developers," he added. However, L&Q insists that it is in fact the protesters who are jeopardizing the delicate ecosystem of the site. A spokesman said, "We remain concerned that protesters continue to camp on an active construction site on which we are creating well-designed homes that match the character of the local area, as well as raising obvious health and safety issues. This campsite risks damaging Cat Hill's natural habitats for protected wildlife. We have, therefore, commenced legal action to address this situation and await the court's decision with interest."
An owner of a local supermarket has raised more than £1,200 for his nearby scouting group. Rohit Shah, known to everyone as Roy, is manager of Cost Cutter in Westerham Avenue, Edmonton, and managed to raise money for the 24th Edmonton Scout Troop. The group meet adjacent to Mr. Shah's shop, and he decided to raise the money when he took part in Making a Difference Locally campaign, which helps shops improve its community. Mr. Shah said, "I see the Scouts going to and from their meetings and coming into the store. Scouting is great for the youngsters. It is so good for them and for the community. It's wonderful to be able to make a difference in the community. The Scouts help others, and I'm pleased to be able to help them. It's what being in a community is all about." Leader of the 24th Edmonton Scouts, Roger Gleave, is delighted with the latest donation and feels the money will go far in improving facilities. He said, "We are very grateful for this money. It will be used to upgrade the toilet facilities at our Ramy Island Water Activities Centre to include disabled access, enabling scouting for all." 12-year-old Scout Kai Reese said, "Getting this extra money is great, as my favourite part of scouting is the water activities, and now we will be able to do more."
And I have an item by columnist Jane Johnson. She is the Borough Police Commander. It has been an interesting few months, and the topic of most interest is public confidence in policing. There have been significant high-profile issues, including the Ellison review into the Stephen Lawrence investigation, Plebgate, and the revelation that Scotland Yard officers have disclosed data protection information 300 times over the past 5 years. Some may be asking what the Met is doing And what sort of service are we providing to the people of London? I have been a police officer for 25 years, and I agree that at times our actions have been shameful. But the reality is that never have I seen a more dedicated, focused and professional police service committed to serving local communities. I want to draw your focus to the work we are doing in Enfield. We are committed to providing a quality response. This includes officers fighting to save the life of a woman stabbed and run over by her husband, and some formally commended for saving the life of a man who had been involved in a traffic accident. Operation Hammerhead was set up to address crime and antisocial behaviour in Edmonton Green, while Operation Spider is a team of officers focused on reducing the vehicle crime which blights our borough. The high-profile cases in the press frustrate the efforts of local officers who are at times heroic, determined and committed to making Enfield a better place to live, work and visit. We await outcomes of investigations and reviews, but here in Enfield we will be getting on with serving the community. There's really no time to waste.
A former mayor is leading a campaign to draw attention to the plight of more than 200 schoolgirls kidnapped by a militia group in Nigeria as they prepared to sit exams. Kate Annalu, a trained lawyer who was mayor of Enfield in 2013 to 2014, is calling on people across the borough to join her and others from the Nigerian expatriate community in Enfield as they march from St. Edmund's Church in Croyland Road, Edmonton, to Edmonton Green in protest against the capture and imprisonment of more than 200 girls by militant Islamist group Boko Haram. Mrs. Annalu is a ward councillor of Upper Edmonton and has been made a chieftain in her hometown of Nanka in Anambra State, Nigeria, in recognition of her academic and professional successes. She will be meeting other Nigerian expats on Saturday, May the 24th, to protest against worldwide inequality on education. Regardless of whether the girls have been released back to their families by then, we will be protesting, she told the Advertiser. We want education for all. We want no more kidnapping or intimidation of girls who just want to learn. What happened to those girls makes my heart bleed. Growing up, I was very lucky that my father believed in gender equality. I was one of 7 children, and when a friend of my father asked, "Why are you educating a girl?" his answer was that an educated woman is useful. She is useful to her community, to her husband, and if she has children, she will be useful to them. I feel very sad about what is happening in northern Nigeria. If we want to properly tackle global poverty and inequality, we have to educate both boys and girls. Mrs. Andalu is appealing for anyone who feels passionately about the issue to join the protesters at 12:45 p.m. on May the 24th.
A prominent campaigner against knife crime in the borough has offered her support in favour of the campaign led by 2 local MPs to amend a proposed law. Yvonne Lawson, who lost her son Godwin, 17, in 2010 when he was stabbed in Amherst Park, London, has fought since his death to stop knife crime in Enfield. Having set up the Godwin Lawson Foundation and started a new scheme to help turn teenagers into leaders, Mrs. Lawson has now shown her support for the amendment tabled by Enfield North MP Nick Dubois and Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows. The pair are hoping to amend the Criminal Courts and Justice Bill to impose a mandatory 4-month detention order for those under 18 carrying a knife for a second time. In her letter to the Prime Minister, Mrs. Lawson believes that not just education is needed to prevent knife crime, but robust legislation. She wrote, "I believe that to deal with this awful knife culture, we need a combination of measures and strategies, including firmer and robust legislation. I observe that most young people are aware of the leniency of the law, consequently leading to a blatant disregard of the impact of their actions and the judicial consequences. Mandatory sentencing for a second offence of carrying a knife will send an important message that society will have zero tolerance to this unacceptable behaviour. Currently, Liberal Democrats chiefs are against the proposed bill and do not believe a mandatory custodial sentence will curb knife crime. The amendment proposed by the MPs will be debated after the Queen's speech."
Shadow Minister for London, Sadiq Khan MP, showed his support for the launch of Enfield Labour Group's manifesto as the council elections draw closer. The MP for Tooting in South London commended Labour's policies as he joined Councillor Doug Taylor, Edmonton MP Andy Love and Cabinet Member for Finance and Property Andrew Stafford at Labour's Enfield North headquarters, Selby Hall in Lancaster Road. Mr Khan heaped praise on the 4-year freeze on council tax. He said, "There have been remarkable achievements and freezing council tax has been a big comfort for many people. Not only has there been a freeze in council tax, but Enfield hasn't made savage cuts, which is astonishing. Some local authorities are closing down libraries and leisure centres, but Enfield has shown you can make savings without unfairly punishing local residents." Councillor Taylor talked up Labour's chances of winning the election for a second term in a row and believes that the administration is the main reason for their possible success. He said the defining choice at a local level is between a Labour which acts and a Tory council which fails to act. And if we look back at the past 8 years prior to 2010, you will see a failure to seize opportunities which we have. Mr Taylor also pointed toward the rise in pollution caused by rapid population growth as one of the major issues in the borough and said increasing cycling opportunities would help combat this. He also cited the recent bylaw to ban spitting to show that Enfield has been a borough which will take action during the past 4 years. The council elections will take place on Thursday, May the 22nd.
Residents have voiced their disappointment after the council backed out of a promise to create 60 new primary school places for children living in the southwest of the borough. As reported in the Advertiser in February, after extensive lobbying by parental campaign group Southwest Enfield Action Team, the council pledged to create the 60 places for children starting school in September this year. However, it has emerged this week that the authority has no definite plans to establish those places after they were able to find primary places for all children in the borough who applied before the deadline for applications. Residents of Palmer's Green and Southgate are furious that the council has reneged on its promise, as many parents with children starting school in September missed out on their preferred choice and are now facing long commutes across the borough to their second or even third choice of school. Chairman of Fox Lane and District Residents Association, Andy Barker of Amberley Road, Palmer's Green, said that residents in his area felt let down by the council, who had promised so much. The council admitted there was a problem with the lack of primary school places in this area, and I think the fact that they no longer seem to be committed to these new school places is quite disappointing, he said. There were 2 or 3 meetings with the primary expansion team where we discussed a possible school expansion on the Groveland site, but all those proposals and suggestions seem to have finished. However, an Enfield Council spokesman said that no option had been ruled out. He added, "The situation is still being closely monitored as part of ongoing admissions process, and we still have contingency options to provide additional places should we need them. The potential need for additional places in the southwest of the borough was identified in a previously published council report in June 2013, which listed possible options. These options are still being pursued."
Residents of a road in Southgate were left giggling when a sign appeared warning of high-visibility plainclothes police officers. The Metropolitan Police sign in Trent Gardens attracted attention for its somewhat baffling messages to would-be troublemakers. The crime prevention advice warns that, in quotes, high-visibility plainclothes officers operate in this area. Nicola Sheehan tweeted a picture of the sign and said, in quotes, "Southgate is all about the baffling signs. This one just always makes me giggle."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Joan
and myself, Lillian, with Colin on controls, it's goodbye, cheerio. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.